Revolutionary greetings. The fight against financial exclusions, academic exclusions, and all forms of barriers to access of education is one that has been greatly championed by the EFFSC in all corners of our country. While there are significant victories for 2023 with the NSFAS cap preventing exclusions, evictions of students, there remains more issues that still need to be confronted by the SRC to ensure access for all students. My name is Karabo Mogale, and I'm running for the presidential portfolio under the EFFSC UP banner. Student life policy is faced with the challenge of young people who come from different walks of lives, some from disadvantaged areas and low-income families who are faced with dire needs to convert their aspirations and see higher education as a way out of poverty. Sociological theories on educational impounds that education is a tool used by societies to either oppress or uplift communities. The world over, societies has been plagued by social class inequalities in education. Education must be a force for opportunity and social justice, not just for the entrenchment of privilege, by making certain that opportunities that higher education brings are available to all students from all who have potential to benefit from them, regardless of their background. State contributions have declined, while the burden on students has increased and the tuition fees has increased as well. The existence and autonomy of the SRC seek to empower students and give them voice, develop them holistically, and contribute meaningfully to their living as they find their way around academic success. The debt that is incurred because of residents exceeding the NSFAS cap, there is no agreement between the state and the beneficiary on a loan or covering the debt that may arise. The late announcement and implementation of the rent cap on accredited accommodations in the policy remains a legal miscalculation on the state and its organ, the NSFAS board. NSFAS in all its communications states that NSFAS in all its communications state that tuition covers accommodation and not partial accommodation costs. NSFAS funding is a bursary and not a loan and a bursary. It's just a bursary. While uploading the note of the recent communication from NSFAS that universities must negotiate accommodation to provide rental services within the cap, the communication demonstrated an inability to comprehend contextual agreement that students had already entered into with various services providers. The current policy on minimum norms and standards for student housing on public universities is under review and will take effect in 2024 on all accommodation accredited by NSFAS. The EFFSC will make the following submissions: that all accommodations, including university residences above the NSFAS rental cap, must not be accredited, and that all accredited accommodations must require NSFAS beneficiaries to pay any deposit or residential levies, renewal fees, and be illicitly inclusive. Additionally, they must also be required to have a social worker and psychologist to enhance student living environment that prioritizes mental health of students. Accommodations must be encouraged and persuaded for a deposit waiver requirement for non-state beneficiaries or the missing middle, noting the economic difficulties students endure. It is also important to tackle the high food prices and the contribution to student debt. Currently, the NSFAS policy doesn't allow for students in university managed residences to receive allowances in their accounts, but only a limited amount to cover sanitary needs. This needs to change. This will also be affecting the many among ongoing changes that bring uncertainty, as allowances will be handled by these so-called financial services providers that are not even NCR compliant, with universities only dispersing rental allowance payments. To addressing the issue of food prices and no cooking facilities, which lead to student debt, which end up creating difficulties for students in residences. In the event that university managed residences fall outside the cap, the university must take advantage and use the policy of leased accommodation to secure accommodation which have cooking facilities and are still within the cap. This will balance both the cap and ensure that students in university-controlled residences are not incurring debt from high food prices, as they will be able to buy food from rental stores with ease and maximize the limited resources at their disposal. The provision of cooking facilities remains challenged by the EFFSC that all residences must be installed with such facilities. To date, the university has failed to produce at least 5 students who have burnt down their homes or any private accommodations while cooking. This has been undermining to students. This says that students are reckless and incapable. Making use of such accommodations through leasing will ensure that students don't have to deal with daily limits, reducing the number of meals because they don't have enough money, as many don't have means to replenish their meals accounts. This will prevent additional secondary issues relating to student hunger. The high cost brings about direct effects on food insecurity, leading to serious implications for students, especially those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. Establishment of an efficient and sustainable student meal assistance program with the involvement of the faculty houses, societies, and external stakeholders for creating sufficiency assistance over time to cover the large number of students. Sexual harassment policy is not a gender-based violence policy. There remains a need for such a policy that tackles the scourge and its forms, which guarantees victims an exemption from any forms of institutional exclusion and provides an effective digitalized record system, unlike doctors disappearing while victims drop out, commit suicide, or play delay tactics. The long-term proposal by the EFFSC for an establishment of an LGBTQIA+ residence remains, while temporarily reproposing 3 existing residents to foster mandatory inclusion. University expenses are steep, especially for students who have limited or no financial support structures in place. Upfront registration fees, accommodation, meal expenses, books, stationery, clothes, and etc. form part of a student budget which does not work in favor of the economically disadvantaged. Financial problems affect academic achievements and constitute a difficulty faced by many in silence. Higher education is more open to those who can afford it. The availability of money, whether from income or from bursaries, is a determining factor. Financial access in university is important as it means students are able to provide for their needs. When students have little or no support from home or funding schemes, this makes survival within the university very difficult. An upfront registration fee is not a requirement in any university's rules and regulations unless someone in the university can point this out somewhere. While the university must award academic excellence through financial assistance, a policy position that students owe 25,000 or less must be allowed to register with ease. Anything that is not against the law is permissible. SFC powers as per the Higher Education Act are not subject to institutional statutes and institutional rules, which makes it possible for the SFC to execute the constitutional rights as bestowed to it to advance students' interests and service their needs accordingly, which can make it easy for them to use the Revenue Fund and Treasury Sub-Council. This will include the development of an investment framework, which is intended to be a vehicle to accelerate investment to address student needs for financial stability. It will also outline the role of external businesses, universities, municipalities, NGOs, and various stakeholders in ensuring that the NCC executes its statutory mandate to serve the students without fear, favor, or prejudice on a variety of issues affecting students. This will also include allocations for the SFC to conduct programs for addressing social ills, particularly for young women who may be victims of sexual offences and had their academic performance affected adversely by the VEIL Act. The high cost that students with disabilities face require that the SFC subsidize them to alleviate the burden that they face already. It has been proven that financial pressures experienced by students weaken academic performance, and thus SFC efforts must create an enabling environment to thrive in every way, which will eradicate all forms of exclusion UP students enjoy and promote equal access. #NgenaWenaMfundi, Sizofunda Ngenkani, #vote EFF.